Welcome to Swimming Lessons in Dating. We are in episode 3 today. Boundaries are beautiful.
Hello, I'm Tracey.
And I'm Cassandra.
Let's get started on this fun journey.
That's right. Let's dive in.
All right. Who needs boundaries?
Me. Say it with us. I do.
I do. Yeah, exactly.
We all need boundaries, but boy, is it hard to recognize when we need those boundaries and then to actually enforce those in our lives.
Absolutely.
Right?
Not always easy.
It's not.
But necessary.
Very necessary, yes. And there are some ways that we have learned over the years and the wisdom of our many years on this planet.
I feel like there's some trial and error in this boundary department.
Very much trial and error.
Yes.
So we have our own personal experiences, and then obviously because of what we do for a living, we do advise on how to live with boundaries.
Yes. So but could that be a messy situation?
Yes, it can. But,
yes.
I definitely think that over the years, I have gotten better and better. And then applying it to many parts of your life and then applying it to your dating life can be a little different, I think, because, just of some certain things that maybe limit us or different experiences. And then if you really want a connection, really compromising yourself so that you can get some connection with people, when in reality, those people may not be really a good fit for you.
Right, exactly.
So we're here to help you prevent that from happening.
So a boundary would look like you're hanging out in the pool with your friends, lounging in the pool, and someone comes over and does a belly flop next to you in the pool, trying to get their game on. Ooh, ladies in the pool, there's not anything impressive about that. Get your hair messed up, your makeup messed up. You get pool water splashed in your drinks. I mean,
snacks. That's even worse.
It's rough. No one goes for that in the boundaries in the pool.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah.
But that happens.
It does,
and it gets messy.
And it does a lot. I think in the dating world, you have to be really vigilant. Especially if you're on dating apps, which we will get to those really juicy episodes coming up here, where we're going to dive deeper into the dating app.
Very deep into the deep end.
Oh, goodness. But for the time being,
PG today.
Maybe.
Never know. Especially with boundaries, you never know.
Right. So one of the really standard pieces of advice that I have for my clients is to read a book. And this book is something that I was eventually going to read. It was on my Audible list, actually. And the author actually reads the book on Audible, which is very appealing to me, I think. When we think about when Brene Brown or Mel Robbins read, when they actually read their books, it is so much more appealing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so this book is called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. And that is by Nedra Glover Tawwab. And I gave this book as homework to a client. And I said to her, I will read this with you, even though I advise on this all the time. I, quote unquote, should know all about the boundaries. And I learned so much. And it one of the most profound pieces of that book that really hit home for me was the boundaries that we have for ourselves in our routines and taking care of our bodies. And if we think about that, so holistic boundaries, we're talking about physical boundaries, sexual boundaries, financial boundaries, AM and PM routines, work-life balance. And so when you think about like all of these components to our lives, where do you need to set some more boundaries? Are you working too much? Are you compromising your health and maybe drinking too much sometimes, like a little overconsumption of those martinis?
Well, every now and then.
I mean, we are going out for martinis after this.
The lemon drop ones. I heard they're really good. Yeah. But sleep boundary. I mean, that's a big one.
And sleep boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes, you talk about like that and social media. You think about like all the time that you spend like doom scrolling, right? Doom scrolling.
Guilty.
Same. Like, and obviously. And then you add in the dating apps.
That is a whole nother level.
I mean, you could really consume your entire day.
Drowning in the deep end right now.
Yes. So we definitely want to help you set some better boundaries for yourself and be aware of what they are, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
yeah, when I think about boundaries and what I've struggled with in the past with myself, as particularly to relationships, is not respecting myself. Right. And that goes back to some different episodes we've talked about with just not being ready or not feeling like you're ready enough, because of the wrong reasons maybe. But when that looked like me not respecting myself, it was going into the dating world like wide open. I had no no deal breakers, no checklists, no what am I looking for? It was like no standards, no anything. It was. And it was not pretty.
Yeah.
Not pretty.
Yeah, because then that invites all of those. I'm going to say it.
Say it.
It's the scum in the water.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. If I don't have boundaries and I'm not treating myself very well, I'm not talking positively about myself, I'm inviting people to do that as well. Yeah. Like jumping right in. Right. If I'm saying some negative things about myself, the potential people that I was coming across would jump right into that and just as negative about what I'm saying to myself, they jump right in to say something negative too. And then I'd be like, wow, what are they doing talking like that? Like, how could they talk to me like that? But then I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm talking to myself like that. And I'm talking out loud about it.
Right.
Not having those boundaries. I mean, it's definitely put me in some tough situations because, I wasn't respecting myself. And when you're not always respecting yourself, it's hard to say no. It's hard to know where your limits are. It's hard to, being able to look in and see where your standards are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of times where I did not have those standards very high for myself. And then who I was choosing in the dating world.
Completely.
Yeah. Yes. And when you talk about like the low end of, the pond, the scum, that's where it was at. Yeah. And it's not even to like bash. It's basically, it was the honest truth. If I'm down at the bottom, I'm picking down at the bottom and I'm kind of getting what's in that pool. And instead of being able to recognize, like, as soon as I had those boundaries for myself and I really was able to, see why it was important for me to have boundaries for myself, definitely a whole nother level of who I was able. Big time.
Where you deserve.
I'm not in the kiddie pool anymore.
No.
Just saying.
We're not in the waiting pool.
It's not there.
But yeah. It's much deeper now.
No Tootsie Rolls. Because the Tootsie Rolls are in the kiddie pool. They're in the kiddie pool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're in the kiddie pool.
We're getting rid of those.
Not necessary.
Not happening. No, that's not coming with us.
No. What you talked about in the book, you're talking about or your body boundaries.
Yes.
That's that's a whole nother territory.
Yes, it is. And so if we talk about all these things that we do for ourselves or don't do for ourselves, and we also talked about the importance of therapy and making sure that you're self-aware, making sure that you at least have that understanding but also building in some self-compassion. We're not talking about strict militaristic ways of being in the world because there are going to be mistakes made. There are going to be moments. There are going to be days where you have no energy. and you are not following a routine. You're not like, maybe you're binging on some like, junk food or something, or maybe having 2 martinis instead of 1.
And then the chips and salsa happen, or queso, and it's just, here it is.
Yeah, I know. So like having that self-compassion, and so having a good idea of the things that you're doing for yourself to take care of your body. And when you do that, you're going to be in a better space to be able to set those boundaries with other people. And you're going to recognize when those people aren't following those.
Oh, absolutely.
Too, right? Like, if you think about, and we'll get to that more in the next episode, but I mean, recognizing certain patterns of behavior in yourself helps you be able to recognize certain patterns of behavior in other people. So one of the questions, like some of the things that I like have built in for myself, is a morning and evening routine. And those are important to me. I very much like to start my day with, certain things like meditation, a cup of coffee, journaling, things like that. At the end of the day, I like to do the same. I like to have a cup of tea and journaling.
Yes.
And kind of winding down my brain, and making sure that I'm not spending a lot of time on social media. And these dating apps can, again, consume and takes up a lot of mental energy, and it can be very draining. And it just can be a lot. And so, I just think about the importance of working out, taking care of your body that way. That's all really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if we're, and I talk about this quite a bit in my therapy practice with different populations that I work with as well. Boundaries comes up quite often.
Yes.
It comes up quite often. Yeah, you think about boundaries can also be about time management, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, time management is huge,
Yeah, that's like the cornerstone. It's like the foundation of some of these things that we're talking about.
Yeah. Boundaries with work, I mean, when there are many that are in the profession where they're working for someone else, right. Leaving work at work, being able to say no, like, I can't take on another project. I have to leave at 4 to pick up my kids, or I have to be done at 4. That's when I'm done being paid, whatever, I mean, those boundaries are huge, but finding how you have the self-care in that time management throughout your day.
Oh yeah.
So absolutely. Sure.
And no is a complete sentence.
Facts. That is a fact. She is correct.
It's really hard to do that.
It is so hard.
It's so incredibly hard because like, I also think as women, I know this as women, we have been programmed for so long to explain ourselves.
Oh,
to over explain ourselves. And like, there's this like expectation of doing that. And we don't have to do that. Especially as we start to date, like, these people don't know us, and we don't have, like, there is nothing that states that they deserve so much information about us. We can definitely have some boundaries around what we're sharing.
Very true.
And what we feel comfortable with. And so, just thinking about that too, as we start to have conversations with people. Like, I certainly know that I am careful about what I share.
Yes.
Like, post things.
Yes.
Because there are all sorts of scenarios out there.
It's rough.
We're going to get to that too. Stay tuned. It's
sink or swim.
Juicy stuff coming. all those things that we go through. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And there's another thing that comes to my mind is, when you think about boundaries, it doesn't mean that there are times where, we can set some really good boundaries for ourselves, especially in the dating world.
Yeah.
Sometimes those things also just happen where they just unfold and they happen.
Yes.
And we're adults.
Yes, we are.
We can make our own choices and decisions.
There's no shame.
Exactly.
No shame.
Exactly.
And like, no judgment, no shame for yourself.
Very true.
Like, really saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this, or I compromised this or that. It's like, making mindful choices so that you are like, I'm going with this. I am making the choice.
Yeah.
And that's that. And it's okay to do that.
Yeah,
we are grown, mature women. We are.
We are.
Just saying. We really are.
That's true. We are.
I think we all have been in those situations.
That's why I'm laughing.
We all have been.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
We know.
Like,
we know our stories.
Is that like the first date rules that sometimes are broken?
Yeah. Yes.
It happens.
I certainly, I have so much to say about that.
It happens. Yes.
It does. But just like having that self-compassion, being flexible, those are all really good qualities to have, where you don't have to have rigidity around that.
Exactly.
It can be really healthy to have some flexible boundaries in there. Like,
Very
if
true.
I like this guy, I'm going to kiss him on the first date. Who says you can't kiss on the first date?
I know. I mean, it's kind of like, is that like putting your toe in the pool water to see if it's too cold or if it's warm? Like, it's kind of testing the water because.
Well, yeah. I mean, if there's a mutual attraction and you kind of want to test those waters a little bit, like to see if there's a
spark there.
Because kissing is important.
It is
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right?
What if someone's not a good kisser?
I know. Like, and that actually, I think maybe that's happened to a lot of people.
Oh, it's happened. It is an important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. But then if you're, if you're really not feeling it, then you maintain that boundary, right? And you can kind of think on it. Sometimes
engage.
Yeah. Sometimes you can kind of think on it. Maybe date 2, it'll be more, something.
Sure. Because the nerves. Sometimes like the nerves of it, or
Yes. Expectations, or kissing in front of an audience, which
the pressure's on.
That has happened to me. And that, I mean, you can't some people actually, this is actually a thing.
Yeah.
That some people have inhibitors to their behavior in a situation like that, where there's intimacy there. And I'll talk about Emily Nagoski's book, Come As You Are.
Okay.
At some point, that's on a whole different topic, a very juicy topic.
Wow.
So
we love those topics.
I know, right?
We love those ones.
She talks about the actual science behind that some people have those inhibitors about them, that when there is an audience around, you're not going to get into that whole passionate moment. There's pressure and eyes on you. It's performance anxiety. I mean,
that's true. That is true.
At my full capacity.
That is true. That is
just saying.
Unless you've had some lemon drop martinis, then it might be different.
Right, that it could be.
Could be different then. So I have an article that I want to bring up. This one is from Psychology Today. It's an article you can find online, December issue, I believe. It's called Navigating Relationships, The Power of Healthy Boundaries. And I just have a couple. There was 4 different bullet points that I thought were really important to share. And it was the negative consequences of not setting healthy boundaries. And that's just getting started in relationships and how much it can really throw that toxicity into relationships, and why it's so important to have those healthy boundaries. Yeah. So she has, the article, negative consequences, lack of awareness. So not knowing what you really want going into a relationship.
Yes, exactly.
That's a big one.
Yes.
Not really knowing. You're just kind of winging it.
Right. Oh my gosh.
I usually wing a lot of things in life, but it backfires. And
then you learn to set boundaries.
Yes.
More and more.
Yeah.
And then too, as we move through the process of dating, you learn more about yourself through the process. And then you're like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big one. Burnout. Burnout was not expressing your own needs, but tending to the other person's needs to make them happy.
That is gold. Absolutely.
I've been guilty in that.
Yeah, that is really an important topic. Because that's the energy exchange.
It is. And it's so like when you don't have those boundaries set for yourself or for the other person.
Right.
I mean, it's just like a free for all, and it's not good.
No,
it's just not. It's just not a good combination.
No, not at all. It invites a lot of unwelcomed topics.
Yes.
From people who also, again, we talk about this, like understanding that, like, not everybody has boundaries. Not everybody has
absolutely
the ability to, I don't know, moderate themselves. Is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So then you're learning about this through that process of them actually requesting more of you, or like wanting to know more of you than you're willing to share, or texting you too much, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Resentment is another one. So doing too much for the other person to keep them happy, but they don't reciprocate. So growing resentments, and I talk about this a lot in therapy sessions, and that really is unexpressed. That's not the right word. I don't think that is a word. Expectations. Yeah. When you have expectations on your partner, and you forget to tell it, you forget to say it out loud, that grows some pretty big resentments.
That is a relationship killer.
Yes.
I have personal experience with that.
I mean,
it kills relationships.
Yeah.
It will destroy a relationship. So, I mean, obviously, if you're in the dating part of a relationship, you don't want to be doing that.
Right. It's very true. And you can't be afraid to not talk about your needs and the needs that you have and your wants and your desires. You can't be afraid to do that because it will build resentments. You just anticipate the other person should know. They should read your mind. They should know.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
No. Really good communication is needed. And it's for you.
It's like, both goals. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think so many women, and I've certainly been there myself, you have compromised these like boundaries. There has been built resentment. And then it's like circling back, like remembering those moments, and then what ended up happening.
Yes. Like what just happened here? Like how do we get to this place? And just chasing and running around.
Going and going. And then it's also confusing for your partner or someone that you're dating too. It can be very confusing, and you're not setting yourself up for success. And
correct. This last one, it kind of goes into that relationship conflict. So not having clarity of expectations in the relationships from the beginning.
Right.
So not setting like, what's our expectations of this? Yes. What's our needs and desires? What's our wants? How are we going to flow? How are we going to communicate? Yeah. I mean, not knowing that and not expressing it, not talking about it. I mean, that's just like, it's not magic. Like,
no, it's not. And then, then you have in your mind your list of boundaries.
Right.
And then there's like, oh, well, I think about the compromise that you can make sometimes with certain like relationships. Maybe they're not a big texter. Maybe they like to call, and so it's not like, it isn't like either or. It's not like a dichotomy. It can be kind of a compromise, but talking about, hey, I really like texting a little bit more. Are they going to meet you halfway? Or is it going to be this like, no, this is just how I am.
This is how it is. Yeah. I really loved that article. It was a good read, and I would recommend it for sure. So again, Psychology Today, you can find it online. Navigating Relationships, The Power of Healthy Boundaries. So I thought this was a really awesome episode and topic.
Yes. And
we have a part 2.
We do. Yep.
But I think this was a good open up and starter to the conversation of boundaries, because it is necessary, not only as individuals, but going into the dating world for sure.
That's right. Hopefully it'll get you thinking and open up your mind to some different things that you can do to support yourself. You can catch us on our next episode on Boundaries Are Beautiful Part 2. We'll dive in a little bit deeper and talk about some of those other topics on boundaries.
Ta-ta for now.